All right. Hi, Stephanie. It's Kimberly from the Country Bookshop. Thank you so much for stopping in to talk to all of our customers about your new book. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I was last in your store in 2019, and I'm glad to be back, even if only virtually.
Yeah, Ribbons of Scarlet. So many people were introduced to you through that book and have gone back to your other books like America's First Daughter. But this book is going to be just the best you've ever written. The Women of Chateau. Now, I want to say Lafayette, but is it Lafayette? How do we pronounce it?
I would say Lafayette.
Lafayette. Oh my gosh. Well, I have so many questions about your research, but first, can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Yes. I think the best summary of this book is that it's about 3 wars, 3 women, and 1 world-changing legacy, and the castle that's at the heart of it all. The Lafayette Legacy is really one of eternal struggle for human rights. Both Lafayette and his wife were abolitionists who advanced the cause of democratic reform and religious freedom and equal justice under the law. And, due to Hamilton, an American musical, Lafayette is experiencing a bit of a resurgence in popularity recently as America's favorite fighting Frenchman. But a lot fewer Americans know about his incredible wife, our French founding mother, Adrienne. And so she is one of the heroines who is featured in this book. And I can't wait for your readers to discover her.
Well, not just our readers, but our book clubs, because I know this book in particular, not only is it just a great book club book in and of itself, but y'all have done an incredible job making this totally accessible for book clubs. Can you tell us a little bit about what y'all have available for book clubs who choose this as their book to read?
Absolutely. So if you go to my website, which is stephaniedray.com, there is a section just for book clubs, and it has a book club guide. And then, of course, there are other fun features on my website as well, including videos and the research and some recommendations for beverages and snacks for your book club that go along with the book's theme. So I really hope that book clubs will visit.
Well, most definitely. I've spent some time on there, and actually one of my questions in one of your book club questions, you kind of talk about the research that you did specifically in the New York, what was it? The New York Archives or
It's the New York Historical Society. And let me explain a little bit about how this book became about more than just the Lafayettes, but the women who preserved their legacy in generations to come. I discovered that the castle in World War II had been used as a refuge for Jewish children during the Holocaust. There is a memoir called Saved by the Spirit of Lafayette, which is by one of those children who was saved. And this was very moving to me. And after this, I just had to know, how did this come about? And it turned out the castle had been purchased by an American woman by the name of Beatrice Chandler. And Beatrice took me on quite a journey. I went to the New York Historical Society to dig through her papers, and there are something like 26 unsorted boxes of papers. And while I was sorting through them, I found a packet of love letters, anonymous love letters, and I soon realized that there was a code. This was written in such a way that the censors could be deceived about who it was to and from. And it turned out that Beatrice seems to have had a secret love affair with a French officer. So that was discovery number 1. Discovery number 2 is that I started sending pictures of what I found to Beatrice's grandson, a lovely man named William Astor Chandler III, who took the pictures that I sent him and started on a journey of his own, going through his genealogy, which caused him to discover that his grandmother was not even who she said she was. And I'm not going to give it away because it'll be a spoiler in the book, but it was so much fun to find out that she was a more extraordinary heroine than I would have guessed.
I think it's so amazing. So a lot of our book clubs who might be watching, for our book club luncheon, we had Patty Callahan Henry recently, well, pre-pandemic, talking about her Mrs. Lewis book. And she had a similar experience in that research where their son, everybody was in the archives looking for his father's work, but he's like, who is this woman researching my mother? And what I love about what you've done in this book with historical fiction is brought to light something that's a light's never been shown there before. I don't even know my words about it, but what's it like when you're in the archives? You mentioned a packet of letters. Like, I think that it's part of what I love about chatting with you, who's writing, bringing the past to light. You touched these letters. What is that feeling like? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's the cool thing about talking to you, right?
So when I first started opening the boxes, I was extremely reverent. I didn't know what any of this was, but I knew that Beatrice Chandler had probably touched it. And so I just wanted to absorb everything. After a few hours, though, I started to realize that I had only got through one box, and the Historical Society was going to close in not too long a time. So I had to call my very good friend and my co-author, Laura Camoy, who was staying at a hotel nearby, and beg her to get in a cab and rush over. And together we took thousands of pictures of the contents of those boxes so that we could go through them slower after the fact. So at first, very reverent, amazing. I was very verklempt through most of it, but then it became a race. And honestly, I did not know what I had found with those letters. They were very puzzling to me at first. So it was sort of a slow process of discovery. And I ended up having to prove my theory, much like a detective. I had to start looking at immigration letters. Could this be the person I thought it was, this French officer? And sure enough, it was. So that's always a lot of fun. It feels like you're a detective and that you're solving a cold case.
You are a detective. Like, that's legitimately what it is. And then what I love about you taking this and then turning it into this historical fiction, we get more like what you lived in your mind and what you discovered. We get the full picture that you just bring to life. So I know we only have a minute or so left here, but this chateau, could I find it now on the internet? Could I visit? Like, what's the deal with this chateau today in 2021?
You can look it up. There is a website that has some pictures and some history about it, and it will translate into English for you. And if you go to France, it is open now as a museum. I haven't been there since 2017, but I'm dying to go back. It was really one of the most inspirational places on the planet for me.
Well, Stephanie, I am so game to post-pandemic travel. And if we find a book club that loves this book and wants to do a French trip, I'm going to call you and be like, so remember that little Zoom chat we had? All right, let's go to France. We've got a book club who wants to do it. So be waiting.
Game to go to France.
I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and taking the time to write this book and make this story so much more than what you started out writing it. And I really encourage all of our book clubs to pick it up. It's available at the Country Bookshop. We'll probably post this on the launch day. So I hope you guys come check it out. And Stephanie, thank you so much for the work you do writing and bringing these stories that never would have come to light without your work. I really want to thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for all you do for books. Take care.
Bye, Stephanie.